right, let me welcome Dennis Newman. Dennis, this is the first time in, I don't know, it's been, 25 years. I never got a chance to meet you, never got a chance to talk to you. I followed your career. I know everything about you. You know what I mean? Awesome. And I'm happy that we finally get a chance where I can meet you, even though it's over Zoom.
Yep.
You know,
pleasure meeting you, Dennis.
But it's a real honor to have you on the Old School Roundtable. And I called Chris yesterday. I said, get in contact with Dennis Newman.
Oh man, you guys don't even know. I was so nervous. I was like back and forth, man. I was like, what am I gonna say?
We also have one more guest coming on. He's not here yet, but Dave Palumbo is going to be the second guest. That's just so we can go in on Dave this time.
Oh yeah.
No,
but you be talking
hey,
shit?
Milos, how you doing, buddy?
Good, Dennis. Yeah, I'm delighted to see you.
It's been a long time.
I'm delighted to see you looking so good.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. You too. You guys know.
How old are you, Dennis?
53.
Oh, okay. So you're not even that old. I mean, for us, for us, you're not that old. I thought, So you had to be really, really young when you turned pro. Yeah. So.
I was like 24, 23, 24.
Yesterday, I was in the gym yesterday. By the way, Milos, I started training. It's the first real workout I had in years. I did 6 exercises. Normally I do 2 sets each. And I did 6 with 5 sets each. I'm sore all over. But anyways,
Is it the stem cell?
I think it is. I think it is.
Even mentally too, huh?
No, but I also said when I'm done with the, hold on, let me get Dave on. He's here. He should be chiming in. So I also said that when I'm done with the stem cell treatment, I'm going to go back to the gym and I'm going to get serious again. And that's why I said yesterday I started. I really started training serious. And
they didn't tell you to wait for a few days?
No. They say, I had this consultation. I talked to them. Normally, if you get injections, local injections in areas where you have injuries, then they tell you to slow down, to go, to not go back to training right away, to just slowly, gradually increase weights. But I just did the IV, so I'm good to go. I'm ready.
When you say injection, is it a little needle or is it
I don't know. I didn't do the local injections.
Oh, okay.
Dave, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, what's up, Dave? How you doing, brother?
How's it going, guys?
Thanks for accepting the late invite, the short notice invite.
No, yeah, I'm good. I was just finishing up after hours. We did it live. Are we live now?
Yes, we're not live, but we're taping.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So let me finish this real quick. So when you do the local injection, let's say you have knee pain, shoulder pain, and they go directly into that area with the stem cells, then you shouldn't start training right away. They say slowly increase weights and intensity. But with the IV, you're good to go.
There you are.
Yeah. So, and listen, and I don't know. No, I'm not going to. No, I'm going to stay where I'm at weight-wise. I'm not going to gain any weight. I'm not going to eat more. I'm just going to train and maybe not be as soft and flabby. That's it. But yesterday I was in the gym and I was talking to, and somebody asked me, said, who's on the podcast tomorrow? I said, Dennis Newman. And then the guy said, Dennis Newman. He said, it rings a bell. I said, yeah. And then we talked about that story when you won the USA's, you were that big thing. I remember reading all about it in the magazine. Dennis Newman that's the guy. And then you got sick with leukemia, if I'm not mistaken.
And had a stem cell transplant.
And then you were okay again, but somehow they didn't allow you to compete. And I remember, I never forget where you took the opportunity. It was at the Olympia, and I think it was, I don't know, was it before, after prejudging, or during the show, you took your shirt off and you started posing for the audience.
I think,
that was before the sickness though, right, Dennis?
No, that had to be after.
No, that was after my recovery, and I was going to make a comeback. And Joe Weider gave me a invite to the Olympia, and then Wayne D'Amelia somehow got a hold of my mom and says, "Do you know what your son wants to do?" And she's like, "No, he wants to compete in the Olympics." She's like, "If you do that, I'll sue the organization or something like that."
Oh, so it was your mom.
Like he went to my mom. Come on. Man,
yeah.
like I was gonna make it look bad. Well, people had like mixed.
Come on.
Yeah. They had mixed feelings about it. They thought it would make, the sport look bad if you let somebody that had cancer to come back and then abuse and all that kind of stuff.
Wow. So
you know why, Chris? Because the sport is so safe already that they figured, you know what? We don't want to let anyone, God forbid, we let someone who had leukemia come back,
Right.
And then something happened to them, they'll blame us. That's really what it is.
Kidneys became okay, though.
Yeah, but what's the difference if you have leukemia or you got fucking nutsack cancer? If you go through it and you good and you can train again, and he was in shape too. I remember what you looked like. He looked great.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I was like 16 weeks out and did it all the way up until like the last couple of weeks, and then they pulled the rug out from under me.
Yeah. Dennis was one of the.
Tear that pec though, Dennis.
Huh?
Didn't you tear a pec?
That was later.
Yeah, that was later though. That was later.
That was after you came back after the treatment. Yeah, I know it was later. It wasn't before. It was after.
They said, you know what? You got jinxed. I'm going to tell you why you got jinxed. Because I was watching the ESPN special about the USA Championships when you won in what was it, New Orleans?
Yep.
And they said they built this guy up as Superman. This guy has got the greatest future of all time of any bodybuilder. He's got looks. He's got physique. He just won the USA. He's got the world by the balls. I said, they're jinxing this guy. I said it to myself when I heard it. I said, it was like they were prophesizing that something terrible was going to happen to you. Like they put the juju on you, I think, after that, because it was after that you got diagnosed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was the first of a kind, that somebody come back after having cancer,
But Dennis, when did you realize something's wrong?
On stage at the USA.
Wow.
I was so, from what I understand, is the white blood cells took over the red blood cells, and I was lacking oxygen, and I couldn't catch my breath, and I didn't understand why, and I was stretching it out on stage, and then I had 2 weeks of photo shoots afterwards, and I just thought it was just the conditioning and stuff, and it would just, and you know what, I came in at 242, and I did things differently than I did at the nationals. And I should have been better, but something was like off, and I knew
he was better at nationals. You should have won.
Yeah, I was better at.
You really should have won the nationals. Yeah,
right. And I felt I was starting to feel it on stage, and I won, and then the photo shoots next week, it was just gruesome. Like it was just having to do all this, posing and all this stuff, and then I just said, you know what? Take me to the hospital. And so they did a blood test, and they thought it was mono or something like that. And then they came back and said leukemia, and it kind of hit me, and I was like, that's cancer. And then I was administered the next morning.
Wow. Was that something, you had any history in the family?
You know what? No history of cancer whatsoever. But I lived on a block that was across the street from the 101 in Salinas, that it was fields of produce all the way to the beach. So all these onshore breezes every day, and then they'd have helicopters doing pesticides. There was like 10 or 11 people off the end of our block closest to the fields that got all kinds of different kinds of cancer.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of like an Aaron Brockovich kind of situation that they're still like, who's going to sue the produce companies? You know what I mean? That's how we eat.
Crazy.
So,
Dennis was he was one of the white guys that I was afraid of. He was like, I got to do something to this guy.
So, hey.
I know.
So
I was always on you guys' heel, man.
I'm glad you're saying this, right? I'm glad you mentioned it, because the people in the comments think you were afraid of Ford. That's why you didn't show up last week.
I beat Ford when I went against Ford. That was on my last leg.
Man, these guys would be calling out stuff like Dennis the Big Butt Newman, California.
I told him that when we had Rico on, And Dennis was walking past us one day. We was in the audience at the show, and he was going up to hand out a trophy, and Rico's like, "He's not a human. It's Big Butt Newman."
I mean, let's face it.
Heckled out there.
DJ, you didn't see Dennis on stage, right? You just
I didn't. No, not in person, but in pictures and videos. Yes.
I mean, he was unbelievable.
Yes, I'm still. It's still when and this is the good thing about bodybuilding. You can still look back today and look at the physique, and can still to this day his physique is outstanding.
Yeah, like Dave said, like 3 nationals he could have won, right? But then he won the '94 USA, and this is the time I was just starting. And Chris, you started '93, right?
Yeah, I won '93, but he did the '93 also. But he also did the Cal before that.
Hmm? Yeah. Oh, Dennis, you won Teenage Cal when Flex Wheeler won, and I was at the show too. I was 14.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
In San Diego. I remember.
Yeah, he did almost all the shows I did. Yeah.
Gilos has done more shows than any human being on the planet, I think.
I know.
No, I did a 110, 38 amateur and 72 pros.
Unbelievable.
Amateur. Damn.
How many amateur shows did you do, Chris?
Well, I started at 17 as a teenager. I did like 8 shows. I did 2 shows at 17, 8 shows at 18.
Okay, different question. How many pro attempts did you do?
Let me think.
How many times did you attempt to bring your pro card?
Well, I did Nationals 91, USA 91, Nationals 91, and then the USA 3 times.
So the third time you won your pro card.
Yeah, but I was 24. I was young, doing 22, 23 years old on the national stage.
Chris Aceto told me that Cormier walked into his office when he was like a teenager, 100% natural. And Chris his jaw hit the floor. He said he couldn't believe when Chris took his clothes off how incredible he looked. All natural.
Yeah, I was young.
Aceto says you would have been, if there was no steroids, he said you would have been Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, Aceto mixed my first bottle of GH.
But he said that your genetics was so good.
He was like,
he said your genetics was so good that if there was no steroids around, you would have been Mr. Olympia 15 times.
I would have loved that shit. Don't have to stick myself and compete. But I was gonna say there's one more story about Dennis. When he was young, I was there when Flex won, so I was there. But I already knew about Dennis just from understanding, like, you know, we had a big community of bodybuilding from California, and
Block's Gym, remember?
You want to be the best. Oh yeah, Block's Gym. We was all in there, and you know, Sean was in there, and Sean was at the top of the totem pole just because I guess he developed early out of that little stature of physique. So, but yeah, just looking around, I'm noticing this guy, you know, shaped like he was like almost like an Elvis Presley. He was shaped like a black dude, but he was white. So we was like, this dude right here, he's gonna be good, right? So even at the weigh-ins at the 93 USA, I waited like 2 hours waiting for this guy to walk through the door just so I can look at him in person and say something to him. As soon as he came in the door, I don't know what I was gonna say. I was just gonna say something.
I was stuck in traffic and I was holding water, man. Yeah.
Something that wasn't cool.
You know, at the weigh-ins, they write you off if they see any like holding water. But the next day when the show started, I lost all that water, and so they didn't even have me in mind.
Oh, so you think they prejudged you at the weigh-ins?
Yeah,
oh, they always did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did it on Friday, and then the show was Saturday.
Yeah.
Isn't that the show, Cormier? Isn't that the show where Edgar Fletcher looked insane and didn't make it past prejudging?
Yeah, because he cramped up. And he couldn't pose anymore. His abs and everything was popping everywhere.
That was the best he looked.
Yeah, it was. I was like, that's another guy. I was like, shit. I was like, I was not the front runner by any means going into that.
No, not at that.
Do we all agree that Edgar Fletcher is the best amateur to never turn pro?
Absolutely.
Yeah, got to be one of them.
I would put him in front of Mendenhall. I would put him in front of him. Yeah. Mendenhall could never get that hard.
You know what, though? Jim Mannion told me that he would, you know, because Edgar was from Pittsburgh, and Jim told me once that he was he would look out from the NPC warehouse and look down on the street, and it would be like 3 weeks out, 2 weeks out from like the Nationals or USA, and he'd see Edgar on the corner eating like donuts and stuff like that.
Yeah, but
and he'd be like, he'd go out there and be like, Edgar, what the hell are you doing? You got a show in 2 weeks. He goes, this is a cakewalk for you. He couldn't do it. He would always blow it at the end.
Break,
yeah, but wasn't Edgar stationed in Germany at that time when he was competing? He was in the military, and I think he was stationed in Germany. That's what I remember.
Yeah,
You know?
I remember coming from Germany, but somehow he was able
Well, he's
to
not from Germany. He was just stationed there.
right, okay.
While he was
not all the time, though. I don't think it was all the time. I
Yeah.
think maybe for a certain period of time he was there. Yeah.
Right. Do you remember, Dave, how far we go back?
Yeah, I mean, we did the USA together.
No.
Beyond that,
Before, yeah.
remind me.
The 97 Nationals. I
97? Yeah,
never forget, this was my first national show.
Oh, that's right. You came out of nowhere. No one even knew who you were. I was like, who the hell is this guy now?
I had to do the Border States Classic the 2 weeks prior,
Right.
and they gave me a qualification for 2 weeks later, which was supposed to be for the following year. Because I came in from Thailand and they said, all right, let's let him go into the U.S. internationals. And I never forget this because I remember when we did the weigh-ins the day before. I remember fucking Dave Palumbo took his clothes off, stepped off scale, and he weighed in 265. And he did this, yes, like he was like that was the first time I saw Dave Palumbo. And I said, I've never seen an ass that big on a fucking guy and shredded on top of it, you know?
Ass and feet.
Yeah. 97 in Dallas.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
And
you took fourth. I think I was fifth at that show, right?
I think he was sixth.
What show?
Fifth.
What show?
You were sixth?
No, I was fourth. I think you got fifth
No, I
or
was
sixth.
fifth. No, I was fifth at
You're
that
fifth.
show. I remember. Yeah, I was fifth at that show.
Yeah.
Hey,
and when you think back, there was who won the show? Tom Prince. Then we had
It was crazy. The lineup
Over
was
Burke
stacked.
in second, Garrett Downing in third. Whatever happened to Garrett Downing?
He became an IRS agent in San Diego.
No.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow. You know that, Chris?
I didn't know that.
So you better.
Chris knew it. Chris, he prosecuted Chris a few times for not paying his taxes.
Hey, Dave.
But
One of my favorite. I mean, like I remember I enjoyed your routine one year. I don't remember what year, but I remember you came out. I'm backstage. I don't know why I was backstage, but I was backstage, and you was putting on some eyeliner and some shit.
What?
And I was like, damn, what the fuck is this guy? This guy's like, oh, he's just all into his routine, whatever the hell he's gonna do, right? And so he came out and he was doing something, but I guess it was on purpose that he was trying to make his eyes project more than what they actually do. Is that right, Dave? Or
Incredible Hulk. I did like it. It was when the Hulk movie came out.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I always loved the line, "You wouldn't like me when I'm angry." So I kind of like covered my face up. And then I kind of opened my eyes up and I bugged them out. And
But they
I
was bugged.
turned into the Hulk. Yeah.
Dude, that shit tripped me out. I was like, holy shit. But
You know
everyone
what?
was like all into the music you had with the piano playing,
Yeah.
and that shit was crazy.
Thank you.
It kind
very
of reminds me of the first Arnold Classic, Kai Green, when he came out with those contact lenses looking like a wolf.
Oh, yeah. You know what, Dennis? People don't spend time on routines. Like, I knew I wasn't going to be able to pose like Sean Ray or Flex Wheel. I didn't have that kind of physique. But you got to find what works for your physique. So I had a big, massive physique with a lot of conditioning. So I wanted to do something that was entertaining to the crowd so they would remember me. So, I would sit down and I would try to create stuff and come up with different music, put it together, different little sticky acts. And you know what? Chris remembers that 20 years later. So I don't know why people don't spend more time on their routines. It doesn't matter that they don't judge it. It's still being judged because it's going to help your marketability, you know?
Yeah. But you're opening up another can of worms with Milos right now, because here we go.
How many years ago was that, though?
Here we go, beating another dead horse.
It was 03, Chris.
Yeah.
So it was 20 years
Dennis
ago.
Newman. Dennis Newman. phenomenal poser too. Aesthetic physique. He was the classic. Okay, so Dennis, let me ask you: do you agree with this? No judging posing. This is the
Look at
it changed.
Dennis, I'm sorry. Dennis, I'm sorry. We've been through this. We've been through this so many times. We don't beat this horse to death 20,000 times.
Yes.
But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
What? Take out the judging for posing?
Yeah, they don't judge it. So you're told, you don't worry about it. Just come back at finals, hit some mandatories, walk off. That's it.
It's not even like that.
Don't put the effort.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what,
about
Milos, is the truth? The truth of the matter is that if they judged it, people would spend more time practicing.
Right.
Because
Right.
they would know they have to. So
They would have
in
a better
essence,
show.
you're right. You're right, in a sense.
But I'm always right.
No,
Dave.
I mean nobody. No, Milos. Nobody ever disagreed with you that this would be a better to judge the posing routine so we can get some nice routines. Because right now we gonna get that only from classics, the classic physique guys. We don't get it in the open. There's maybe one guy or two guys in the open where you can see they spent some time, putting a routine together and execute it the right way. I mean, you can spend a lot of time get a routine together and still look like garbage because you don't know how to hit the poses. So it's
Dennis, it's like my son. He comes home. I'm like, why are you rushing through your homework? It looks horrible. He's like, my teacher doesn't grade the homework. So why is he going to spend any time doing the homework? He just barely gets it done, and that's it. But if the teacher was grading that homework, you better believe he would spend more time on doing it. It would look pretty. He would, write neater because he would know he's getting a grade on it. But if you're not grading it, then why even? A lot of guys just don't care about it anymore.
Why do we remember particular routines or particular guys at that show? That's all memorable routines. We all remember. Do you remember a single routine in the last 5 years?
I know the music. I hear music on the radio. I said, "Oh, so and so posed to that routine."
Oh yeah.
yes,
Sure.
yes.
And you know the sequence of poses. You know exactly what he did.
Yep.
No, so let me just clarify this. It's not the movement that should be judged. It's physique that should be judged, of course. But if you put the right movement and then hit the right poses, then it magnifies, entertains.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right
It
about
brings the
that.
house down. I had a guy, I commented on Instagram. He was like proudly presenting like 5-pose sequence, right? It made 0 sense. It's all about movement, and he just went from down up, but in the meantime turned 3 times. No, it's not the movement that you should focus on. I mean, this is for dance show, but routine that you say, Chris. You remember Dave? Dave was not aesthetic, right? But Dave was monster, and he wants to freak the people
Charisma,
out.
man.
And he freaked us out, right? He did.
Sure.
And everybody remembers it. Dennis Newman was beautiful classic physique. I mean, your routines, I did not forget this song. But I remember
But they had him like the next Superman,
Yeah. He was a Superman all the way. I mean, that IRONMAN cover. Seen Dennis? Do you see Dennis Newman's cover?
Absolutely.
The IRONMAN, he was airbrushed.
I saw every cover, man.
Yeah.
I bought every magazine back then.
We all did. We all did.
So on that note, I was asking, what do we want? Superman to the left or Hulk to the right? I mean,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I used to watch Vince Taylor all the time.
But that's the thing. We had like characters, and everybody played their part in that character they were. It was just like it was just like that. It was
You were the real deal.
Yes, right. So I love the memories, man, and I love. I'm glad
you
you
used to
guys.
do with your abs on stage. You used to suck your abs in and make them roll. I mean, everyone knows that. That's
Or Dave, he shakes his ass like a fucking stripper. Dennis, do you still follow bodybuilding?
I don't.
You don't?
I don't. I couldn't name one person. Maybe. Yeah.
Who's the last? Who's the last one you remember where let's say Big Shot?
Probably Phil Heath.
Okay, so you're totally out of it. But you still train, right?
I still train. Yeah.
So
I actually just had my first workout. I had a heart attack April 1st.
Oh, really?
April Fool's Day. Yeah. I was rushed to the hospital, and luckily it was in Canada because I was like 2 hours away from the best heart hospital they had there. And it was like 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night, and I started feeling, some pressure here, and I was like, well, I just got to stretch this out, and I was just kind of feeling weird.
Was it on the right side or the left side?
The right side. And then I started feeling it in my jaw, and I told my wife, I go, call the ambulance. I'm having a heart attack. And so they came in 5 minutes later and put these things on me, and they're yep, you're having a heart attack. And so they wheeled me into the ambulance and took me there. And the good thing is that when I got to they took me in an ambulance 2 hours away. When I got there was like 4 or 5 other guys that had heart attacks, and they let me be the last one because I guess it wasn't as bad as theirs or whatever. So then they went into my wrist and did put a couple stents in, and then they said they fixed me. So yeah, I feel good now.
But still, isn't it? This is how I feel. There's so much shit's happening, and all of a sudden, people around you get heart attack, this and that. I'm at a point where I'm sore from yesterday, and I feel this shit. I was like, man, I hope this ain't no fucking heart attack. You know what I'm saying? It's worse. I go to sleep at night, and if I'm not out yet and I can feel my heartbeat, I'm like, oh shit, I'm dying. I said, you can't go to sleep, because if you go to sleep, you won't wake up. What the fuck is going on?
You know what, Dennis? You got to get everyone over the age of 40 should have a cardiac CT angiogram done. It's a CT scan. They put a little dye in you.
That's exactly right.
And you know what? You know if you have a blockage or not. If you have a blockage, you go and you get a stent. I told Gaspari to go get it done. He went and he found out, he didn't even know he had 100% blockage in one artery that had built up its own collateral circulation years ago. And then he had a new one that was blocked 90%. They put a stent in there and he's fine. They said you would have died of a heart attack had he not gone and done that.
I'm glad. I'm kind of glad that I, went through, because
now you know, right, Dennis?
Yeah, now I know. I'm not going to die in my sleep.
Yeah.
Right.
I had a lot of friends dying. They just dropped dead,
Yeah.
It's fucking scary, man. It's scary.
I talked to my mom and
Dennis James, you haven't had a cardiac CT scan?
I haven't. No, I haven't had a CT scan.
Go get one done.
Yeah.
I think
everybody
goes 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I do everything else, and I have to do that too. Yeah.
Just go get it done. Then you don't have to worry about it for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
It's not even painful. It's easy. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not worried about. I'm not worried about.
Dennis Newman, you had actually a cath. They put cath you. He could get a non-invasive cardiac CT scan. They just put a little dye in you. They don't even run anything. It takes 10 minutes. You had the more extensive one because you actually had a heart attack. He'll have a test. It'll literally be 10 minutes long.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. How do they put it in though, Dave? Is it through the?
What they do, there's 2 ways they can do it. They have one that's called a cardiac CT calcium score, where you don't put any dye. You just go in the machine 5 minutes and it'll tell you if you have any calcium buildup. But the cardiac CT angiogram with dye is better because it really gives you a lot more information. And
so the calcium score is not enough?
It's a good start. It's cheaper and it takes less time. But if I was, if I had to choose one or the other and I had the option, I would go with the one with dye, because what they do is they put a little IV in your arm when you get there. It takes 2 seconds. And then when you're in the CT scan, they pump the dye into you. So it runs through the vessels because they can visualize the coronary arteries better when they have a little dye in them. And they give you a much more accurate reading, because you could have no calcium, but you still might have a soft plaque buildup in your artery. So you're better off getting the one with contrast that the doctor will write the script for it, because it's a better test. And then if that's clear, you're good. I did one of those prophylactically to see if I had any blockages. I had 0, but that's when I found out that I had the enlarged aorta. And they tracked that for 3 years until they, just recently, 3 months ago, they repaired it for me. I had to have open heart and they had to redo my aorta. So
they broke you all the way open.
Well, they did a partial sternotomy. I didn't hit the whole thing open, but they had to open me. They had to put me on a heart-lung machine, the whole kit and caboodle. It was scary, And but you know what? At least now I know my aorta is not going to rupture when I go to the gym and bench press.
Right.
That's right.
So how long did you know that you had this aorta issue?
I just found out 3 years ago. I went for a cardiac CT scan, like I'm telling you to do. I didn't know anything. I figured maybe I have some blockages. My father had a triple bypass. Even though I have low cholesterol, I said, let me check it out. Arteries were fine. It was the aorta that had enlarged, and it wasn't enlarged before that. So it just happened recently. I thought, what the hell is this about? And evidently there's a lot of people that have enlarged aortas. They're called aortic aneurysms. And what they do is they track it and they make sure it doesn't get bigger. Mine didn't get bigger for 3 years. And then all of a sudden this past year, it got a little bigger. The doctor said, you know what? I don't feel, let's fix it. And I was like you, Dennis, I'm going to the gym now. Every time I'm under a bench press, I think I'm having an aortic dissection because I feel a little pain here, a little jab there. My jaw's hurt. I'm getting every psychosomatic, symptom possible. I said, you know what? I can't deal with this. Let's just fix it.
Let me tell you what happened to me. It was a couple of months ago. I'm in my bed and I feel my heart. I felt my heart in my throat. Now I'm fucking scared shitless, right?
Right.
I'm not sleeping. My wife is laying next to me. She dead. I'm pissed because she's asleep. And I'm like, fuck, I need to go to the hospital, So I woke up. I said, I need to go to the hospital. I went to the hospital and I called my friend. She's a nurse. And she told me, said, when you go to the hospital, let them know you got chest pain, so they don't make you wait.
Yes, you have to do that.
So I went into the hospital. I said, I can't breathe. I got chest pain. I was on that fucking bed in less than a minute. And they did an EKG right away.
Yeah.
And did blood work. And basically told me it was anxiety. Yeah. I didn't have anything with the heart. I said the heart is fine. They did blood work and they checked this, what's it called, troponin or troponin or something?
Troponin,
which will tell you if there was something, Right. But just the anxiety alone is what's fucking with me, I guess.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you guys all a little tip. I developed this technique.
People always ask how I got here. I was willing to work just a little harder than everyone else. Every damn day. If I can have hundreds of hours back, I'm gonna grab them. Spending hours prepping chicken, rice, and vegetables, F that. I rely on perfect nutrition. I rely on trifecta.
If you think you're having a heart attack or something else, and you're starting to get anxiety and you're getting crazy about it, you do what's called the red wine test. You have a glass of red wine. If all the symptoms go away, you're fine. If they don't go away, you go to the emergency room because that means there's really something going on. Because the wine will take away the anxiety, and it'll get rid of all the symptoms. So before I do anything, I drink half a glass of red wine. If everything feels good, then I know I'm okay.
I don't even have red wine in my house.
Well, I'm telling you, if you have a half a Xanax, you take a half a Xanax.
I have Xanax, I use Xanax when I fly. So
Dave, you drink a Poptic, right?
A who?
A Poptic. He showed me his wine that he's drinking. Would just wine do it or any other alcohol?
Any alcohol will relax you because it'll take away the anxiety. And a lot of times you get those psychosomatic pains because you're so stressed out because what happens is when you start getting a pain somewhere, like a little stabbing in your chest, immediately you say, okay, I took steroids for 20 years. I probably fucked myself up. And now I'm paying the price. Yeah. And then you start creating all these symptoms that really don't exist, but your body is starting to manifest them because you're thinking about it. And so if you could relax yourself, whether it be a half a Xanax or like a red wine, it's the same thing. That'll take away those psychosomatic symptoms and then leave whatever's the real symptoms. If you have no real symptoms, then don't worry about it. Yeah. Now, some people, if you get like indigestion, sometimes people go out for an Italian meal, they have a sauce, spicy meal, or Mexican, they come home, they get indigestion. Indigestion can mimic a heart attack.
Right.
Very, very closely. So you got to be aware of that too. Take 2 Tums. If it goes away, then it was indigestion,
Yeah. So
this is what happens.
Alcoholics will take this opportunity to drink every day. Say, "Oh man, I felt symptoms, so I had to get a bottle of vodka."
It's the Blackman red wine trick. Vino Viagra. You got to take red wine.
Go ahead, Milos.
Speaking of that, did any of you use Viagra for the stage?
No, I know you did.
Because in '97 there was no Viagra, man.
But you told people to take it. I remember.
I told you too, right?
You told me to take it. I just didn't understand for what.
I think towards the end I tried.
But you know what?
Chris, hold on. Chris, you didn't try to take it for the stage. You were on it already because of what you were doing the night before.
Chris was still fully loaded. And this is the best I ever looked.
Chris needed it the night before.
It was still working.
Chris was like, this is the best I ever looked right after busting this nut. I was like, vascular. You know who told me that? It's a funny thing, a story I got to tell you guys.
Oh, my God.
He's not even here. Gary Stridham. Same thing. He was, man, I remember, I'll never forget, he brought this little girl, this little tiny girl, he was in the room wearing that shit out. Oh, and he come out, look at this shit, he said.
1,000,000% you get pumped.
He was fully pumped.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, but
what was the Olympia, Chris, you showed up at? You were like holding so much water. You know I'm talking. I'm not going to mention names, but we were in that room together, remember? That hotel room? And you said, don't worry about it, I'll be fine. And within 24 hours, you sucked all that water out. You turned into a different person. You looked amazing. What year was that?
That was many years, though. I think.
No, you know the year I'm talking about. It was at the Mandalay Bay. You were in the room with you know who, and I was in the same room with the other girl who was competing.
He was probably Chris, Dave. He was probably he went probably straight to Dre's and danced for 5 hours.
He didn't sleep for 24 hours. He was up nonstop. Nonstop, this guy was up.
Yeah.
And he looked incredible the next day. I don't know what the fuck he did.
Man,
but
sometimes you got to do what you got to do, Dave.
Yeah. I don't know what he did, but he looked incredible the next day.
You got to get to the finish line the best way you can.
Hey, I'm glad I have you guys on because I have a fan question. There's a fan that asked me, how many people to this day still use Synthol or any side enhancement oil? Now, Dave, you've been around a long time.
Yeah.
See, when I came up, I had no idea. I had no idea people use that stuff. So how popular was it back in the days, let's say in the 90s and early 2000s, compared to today? Are people still using Synthol or side enhancement?
I used to sell it because I was very good friends with the guy who invented it, Chris Clark. May he rest in peace. He died recently. And when he died, they stopped making, there was no more left. And then there was another guy, Steve DeLuca, who was making a product called Painless Pumps. And he died too recently. So I haven't had any inventory for like over a year. And I'll tell you what, people are begging me, calling me up. Yeah, I need it. So there's obviously a lot of people still using it. I think that what happened at some point in the 90s was that people, or the late 90s, early 2000s, people were overusing it and it looked ridiculous. And because, bodybuilders, you tell them to use, this much, they use 10 times that amount. And so the physique started to get obvious that people were overloading their arms and their shoulders and whatever else they were doing. And I think what happened is nowadays, guys are using it, but they're not abusing it as much. I mean, there's still a couple of nutcases that do, but by and far, people understand that you have to be creative about the process of how you do it. Now, a lot of guys just use their regular gear. You see these guys today. I know guys taking 10,000 milligrams of testosterone a week. I don't know why they're doing it, but they don't even need site injection oil. They just use the testosterone as their site injection oil because they're popping it everywhere in their body. So it's the same effect, really.
That's what I see. But I think, Dave, it takes away from the quality of the muscle.
Of course it does. Of course it does.
But that's the look I see because there's no way you got striated glutes and hardly no body fat. I mean, the diet is impeccable. Right. But then when you do that, as opposed to leaning on that side of the coin instead of the other side of the coin where you can just, train harder. But I mean, put it where you got to put it, but don't put it where you don't need to put it just because you're trying to look a certain way because it's taken away from the quality.
All right, different question. We don't have to mention any names.
Yeah.
Out of the top 10 at the Olympia, is there anybody that uses side enhancement, Synthol or SEO? I'm not talking about gear. Do you guys suspect anybody using Synthol?
Well, that
I think-
depends. I mean, we all inject something
Could
somewhere.
be something.
Yeah, I'd say every single one of them is doing something. Not
Something,
is doing
yeah.
something.
Yeah,
I think
but I'm not talking about
But not site injection.
I'm not talking about because your glutes is all fucking.
I'm
pumped up,
talking about where you don't.
you know, put it in your shoulders. And,
I
see-
don't know one
I see-
person yet that doesn't shoot stuff in their shoulders and in their arms to make them bigger. I don't know
I see
one
him
person.
down. I see him down the back. I see it in the quads. I see you don't have the quad striations that you normally should have. And then when you do see quad striations, everyone's like, "Oh my god!" And when like that should be the standard, because if you're that lean, I mean, if you're looking at the anatomy, it should be there. You know, unless you're just not normal, you're not a human being to where you wouldn't have striations in your quads. It should be there, right?
The problem is that it's not. You shouldn't be site injecting big, large muscle groups because it gets lumpy looking.
Yeah.
It only really works well in round, small muscles like biceps, calves, shoulders. Once you start doing tons of oil into your legs, you see what I don't have to mention names. We know what happens. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. So you see it on stage. It looks obvious. You can't make it look good.
So so when you have a 3-inch long calf and you got a 4-inch wide calf on the same calf, you know it's something wrong with it. It's not humanly possible to be able to do that shit.
I'm sure that Dennis, you didn't use a SYNTHOL, but you for sure used Esiclin back in the day.
I never used that.
Not even
I mean,
Esiclin.
I did maybe some spot injections in my arms and stuff like that, but I never used. I never got into that.
That was before your
No,
time. That's
basically.
why they didn't even have it back then. Yeah.
they did.
Esiclin, yeah.
In 95, in 94?
Yes,
site
absolutely.
injection.
No,
I-
Esiclin.
Oh, Esiclene. Oh,
Yeah,
Esiclene.
I never. I was too afraid of that stuff.
Yeah, your shoulders were fucking unbelievable. You know, so
But he had
Mine were striated though.
Yeah,
Yeah, good quality
you can see if somebody shoots his shoulders because the striations are gone. You know, if
Yeah.
you really overload your shoulders, you can't do that. And you know that's why I like when you see guys with striations in the shoulders and striations in the chest. You know, I mean,
That's beautiful.
I don't think a lot of people would shoot their chest. I mean, I think nobody would shoot their chest. But
hey,
how come?
I think people are doing it.
Let me tell you about Craig Titus. I was working with him, right? And he goes like, "Oh yeah, I want to shoot this shit in the chest." I said, "Don't do it, man, because he's gonna blunt your striations and all that stuff." So what I went to his room, 21 gauge, right? 1.5 inches. Okay.
Shit.
So he had a 3 cc syringes. So you take one cc, 1 cc, 1 cc with the same
21?
one. With the same needle, and you can hear it, tearing. Everything.
So are you talking before? Are you talking
There's
before the
another
show?
one.
Before the show?
Yeah,
Like show day?
yeah, the day before. Yeah, I hear many guys. I have some guys they hire me to prepare them, and then day before the show, oh yeah, they want to do it. I said, please don't do it. Oh, but I normally, no, you hire me to coach you, right? And then he says, okay, coach. And then next day you see like a little bruise.
Yeah.
I get it.
Dave, why don't we see chest striations no more like we used to?
Water's not good.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I just don't want to. I just don't want to sit here and believe that everybody shoots his chest because.
No, I don't think that's the reason. I think that guys don't diet hard enough to get lean enough to get the
I
striations.
think that's what it is.
Because remember, to get chest striations, you got to get that intramuscular fat away from that area,
Yeah.
and you got to be really lean to have pec striations. That's like glute striations. You have to be that level of leanness.
I think
Do
that's
people
the
get
only-
off like a week before the show, or like 2 weeks before the show, or do they dial it in with a bunch of stuff all the way up? I used to get off like a week off
Yes.
of everything.
Yes.
Week before.
Same here.
Yeah.
Everything, tablets included.
Everything. Yeah, everything. Then I'd
You know what? That
sodium
stuff
load.
doesn't leave your system in a week, so it's not like you're really off. It's just like you're
Well, yeah.
I remember. Also, I used to always stop the GH early, And I remember, because you mentioned Greg. Greg was the guy. He was shoot TH the day of the show. You know, there's people do that. So,
Hey,
so I guess maybe it works for some people and it just doesn't work for others.
You know what the old '90s trick was? You wake up in the morning the day of the show and you take a shot of test suspension. You ever hear that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can see at my journal on Instagram.
Really? That was a Bob Grushkin, thing.
Oh, I was gonna say Dan Duchesne or somebody.
I think Bob Grushkin told me that. Yeah.
Wow.
They were doing.
What was that big shot that was popular back in the day? It was a mixture of things, and they called it something.
Oh yeah, the stuff that Dan created. Yeah,
There's something he made. I forgot the name of it, but
it was a mixture of like 5 different drugs. Yeah.
Yeah, it was something that had a special name. It was like, oh, I want to try that shit.
Yeah.
Hey, back in the day, from Mexico, I got injectable Anadrol 50. That shit, holy shit!
Oh wow,
Have you
I
ever seen
never
it?
saw that. Never saw that stuff. No.
I tried that, man. That shit made me so dizzy. I couldn't even work out. It was so strong. I think I was pretty young trying it, but it was in little 2cc vials, and it was like Anadrol 50 injectable.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Dennis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which one?
The other Dennis.
Okay.
The younger one, right?
Yes.
Did you train with any training partner that was a pro at the time? I kind of don't remember. When you were
You're with Sean sometime, right?
Oh, I'm younger than you, Dennis?
Yeah, you're about 5 years.
Oh shit. Oh, I thought you were talking to you.
Yeah.
Way younger.
Dave, how old are you now?
Who?
53.
No, Dennis James, how old are you?
I'm 57.
Oh, I didn't know you were that old. Okay.
But you ask me every time I talk to you, you ask me how old I am, and then you,
I always forget though. I forget you're a little older than me. I thought I was the old
No,
guy.
no.
Chris, how old are you now? Cormier.
55.
Oh, you're my age, right? Okay, we're the same age. That's okay.
Well, Milos, to answer your question, I used to at Block's gym, man. We had like 10 people that were national level competitors, and then I had Troy Zucalato. Me, Troy, and Sean used to train together, and then we introduced people to come in, and we'd make them puke, and everybody would be clapping them while they're running to the bathroom.
John Brown was there.
It was kind of like a standard of a certain energy that it was awesome, man. Back in 89, 90.
I actually moved from Palm Springs to go just to train at that gym. I started going to school there at Fullerton, and just to be in that area because I thought it was one of the hottest areas that wasn't Gold's Gym Venice.
Yeah. People from Gold's used to
question
come
for you
down to Block's gym.
What's that?
I got a question.
go ahead,
I got a
Dave.
question.
Go ahead.
I think it applies to everyone on the panel except Milos, because Milos still has his hair. How traumatizing was it? I mean, Dennis Newman had probably one of the greatest head of hair of all time. My friend always said, you can't beat a great haircut. How traumatizing was it when you lost your hair? You started losing your hair. I know it was very traumatizing to me.
I know it was traumatizing for Dave because I'll never forget this one day. Let me say this before you guys answer the question.
All right.
We did this. Remember when we did the seminar in Italy?
Yes.
I had the microphone and I was walking around and I walked behind the guys and I'm standing behind Dave. I'm looking at Dave's head. I was like, Dave, did you spray your head?
Oh, and I just dyed it the night before. Yeah. I dye my hair all the time. Dennis Newman is a beautiful human being. He's a very good-looking guy. He's like a Ken doll. I look like a mass murderer. So he can handle it. So I got to hold on to whatever I got there. Come on, man.
So did you do some tattoos? Think something with tattoo now?
No. I had just dyed. I dyed it.
No. I mean now, lately. Did you do like tattoos?
No. The only thing I had some hair transplants back in 2000, 2001. And,
why don't you go to Italy? Why don't you go to Italy? I mean, not Italy, Turkey.
The guy from Turkey contacted me, wanted me to go for free and do it.
Go.
You think so? They're good?
Yes,
sure.
it's the best right now.
I know someone that did it. I know a couple guys.
Listen, from all over the world, everybody flies to Turkey. Now, why? Because it's super cheap. Because their economy is so bad, their money is so little that with the
really?
US dollar, it costs you almost, and if you get it for free, you don't even worry about nothing.
Yeah, they were going to fly me out and everything. Is it safe to go there though?
Yes.
Yeah, it's safe.
You'll like Turkey. Great
Dave,
food.
I saw a video from a Turkish airport. Everybody had an operation. Everyone had.
Everyone.
How do they do it?
Bro, you have no idea how many people go to Turkey to get their hair transplant.
Turkish airport. Everybody had operation.
Yeah, everybody come
I
back.
got that offer too from the Turkey, and I sent this guy the question: do I look like I need it?
You don't even need it, Milos.
Yeah, but I'm 59 years old. What the hell do I need a hair
Hey,
for?
listen,
Your hair looks
listen.
fine. Your hair's fine.
In my case, it didn't bother me at all because I had full set of hair. I just had this little spot here,
Oh.
and that little spot made me look like I'm 90 from the rear. You know what I'm saying? When you look at somebody,
No, I know.
you know.
I
So
hate
I,
it.
you know what I did? I said, "Fuck it." I went and got laser treatment, and I got my hair removed.
Oh, you lasered it off?
I lasered all my shit off. Listen, I lasered here. I lasered my
Really?
neck. You see, when I shave myself, it will come
Right.
right back the way I wanted it.
Oh,
I
wow.
lasered all my hair off. Gone.
Did it hurt?
Hell yeah, in the beginning, because when your hair is still coarse, it's
Yeah.
like somebody slaps you every time.
Yeah.
It-
You
and the-
were among the first ones to get the laser removal hair. You, Dennis, you removed your hair like in Thailand, I guess.
Who,
Yeah,
me?
you did it? Yeah.
No.
You're the
I,
first
I,
that removed it.
no. I tried it. In Thailand, there was this guy that I knew. He had this machine, and he tried it. I said, "Listen, let's try it on my calf with the
It
hair."
burnt you.
Burned the shit out of me. I still have the scars today. So I said, I never did it. I never did it until 2016.
Oh shit.
I done it.
It's much better. The technology is much better.
I did
now,
my
man.
back in Australia. I started this in Australia. And then I said, is it possible to do the head? He said, yeah, but it's painful in the beginning. And I was like, you know what? I said, I ain't no bitch. Bro, I was sitting on my hands not to fucking slap that woman that did it.
Bro, any hair in your head at all?
Well, every 6 months or so, 7, 8 months, you could see a couple of, very soft to come back. You just get a touch up, which is very easy. It takes 2 minutes, and that's it.
I didn't know that. I thought you shaved your head. That's crazy.
No, even if you shave, you can still see the hair. You can still see the
Right.
dark spot. You can still see the bald spot if you have a bald spot. But no, I'm gone.
Yeah, it wasn't easy for me. I was 'cause I used to have braids in my hair. I had like a point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna grow my hair. Then I had like the twist and stuff. I was spending like so many hours in the damn beauty salon, man, with the damn thing on my head and shit, drying my hair out with the ladies and shit.
So now, do you have a bald spot now, or?
Yeah, I just shave it every.
So, but do you have a bald spot? If you would grow your hair right now, could you grow?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why I got my hat on today because I got to go to the guy.
So you don't want to look 90 from the back. I know.
Like
I
I
know.
got the mange.
I used to wear a hat all the fucking time. I put all my
He doesn't
hats,
want to look like Sanford and Son, you know, like the
Exactly.
guy.
I put all my hats
Exactly.
in. I put all my
Exactly.
hats in the garage, so when I come out, I see what I'm wearing. I can match the hat. So now I haven't worn a hat in 5 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But Dave, you use Professor, right?
Who?
Finesse, right? Dave, you
What?
you used Professor back in the day. I remember some of your podcasts. You were saying that you use finasteride.
Oh yeah, I've been on that for years. Yeah,
Yeah,
for years.
Yeah, I never wanted to even, when they suggested, oh yeah, protected, I never needed. I
No.
never needed any, I never had a even slightest little gyno, because I
No.
was always keeping that to check. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and
know-
the only side effect that I could say was acne, and that was I got a guy that brought me 12 years expired parabolan and masteron and all this shit, right? It expired 12 years before. And it's like, oh yeah, when you have it in your hands, this is original. Like, you can't throw it away. I say, how bad can it be? Man, my whole body exploded.
Do you think that's another good question that we have to address for people that don't know. Do you think if stuff is expired, and I'm not talking about the underground shit because we don't know what's in there anyways.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the real stuff back in the days. Do you think it mattered if it was expired or not? Because I don't think it mattered.
I don't think so.
I
use
think
it.
2-3 years is okay.
I always tell people if it's
Why? Why would it go bad?
it'll still kill you.
Yeah, and the worst case is it's going to lose some potency. It's not going to do anything.
That's what I thought.
There's a shelf life. I mean,
well, McMillan's, the date they put on there is just because of the FDA that they need a date. It's like 5 years.
You're right.
In my country, they use it in the hospitals.
Yeah.
You know, hospitals, 2-3 years expired. You know, you could see that quite often because, oh shit, this is expired. You know, nobody cares.
It's a money-making thing, Milos, because these companies want to constantly have to replenish it.
Yeah.
They don't want to. They want you to throw it out. You know what I mean?
Do you guys remember? Do you guys remember the original Vinstrol from Spain, Zambon?
Yeah, Zambon, 3 amps in a box.
Yes. Do you guys remember when they discontinued the Zambones?
Yep.
I don't remember that, but I used until we didn't have it.
And sometimes in the 90s, and I was still using them in like 2009.
Yeah, loaded up, huh?
They're good.
Yeah, I mean, if you have them, I think, why would they go bad? It's different if it's an open container, but that shit's closed. And you know it's not, and you know it wasn't made in a damn bathtub.
Hey, hey guys, I know it's off the subject, but did anyone see Good Vito jump his ass off the stage?
Yeah.
The other day? What'd you think of that shit? I was
stupid.
I know I hurt myself at the Arnold Classic. Hurt my Achilles heel by jumping off the stage to get into the audience.
Yeah, but if you watch the video,
if
you watch the video, he was so fired up, he thought nothing's going to go wrong.
But the adrenaline is going, you know. Yeah. But I get it. But Jesus, that was a big drop.
But I saw another.
I think he didn't realize how big the drop was because I've made that mistake too. I've just stepped down and it was longer than I thought. You know.
Yeah.
On stairs.
But that's more dangerous if you don't expect it. If you expect a short step and it's this much longer, that will fuck you up. But he knew that he knew when he looked down how much. But then it's almost like he jumped up first. You know, he's like he wanted to go down there like an animal.
Yeah, a lot of things struck me odd in that photo. Even when he was posing, I was it caught me off guard that he wasn't able to control his body very well in those poses. And
you see the hernia he had?
Yeah, all of that stuff. It was just like I was like, wow.
And if you compare him to last year, when did he get his pro card? That's not even a year ago.
Last year, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have that hernia. It was. I mean, he had a little outie, but didn't.
Never
It's
saw that.
full
Yeah,
blown. Full blown.
I mean, and if you're in Brazil, man, you can get that shit fixed quick, right?
You can get that fixed anyway.
I have a question for Dennis. Dennis, I mean, you're the second guy, Dorian Yates being one that doesn't follow bodybuilding at all. And Dennis James asked you if you do, and you said like you don't. And I'm actually quite shocked because you were like teenager. That was your life. That was your passion. You were so good. You're still in that business, yeah? You're still training and all this stuff. How come you're not interested in bodybuilding to follow the sport?
I got sick of all the people dying and shit. And, I don't know. I looked at it a different way. Before I was in bodybuilding, I was a surfer. You know, I surfed, and it was almost like it was one with the ocean, and then like the bodybuilding was more of the artistic thing, and then it was fun with like the camaraderie in '94 and 90s and maybe, but it kind of got out of, I kind of like once it got into the Dorian scene and stuff, and it got just got out of my cup of tea, I guess you could say, you know. And
you can lose interest in the sport that you believed in.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a soccer player all my life, and I couldn't wait for Saturday to watch the games. And now I couldn't even tell you who's world champion. Or not about world championship, yes, but I couldn't even tell you who won the Bundesliga. I have no idea. You just if you get away from it, you just lose interest.
Bayern Munich won 12 years in a row.
I'll see.
Don't you think, though, guys? Don't you think, though, when you're involved in something and then you with such a tremendous passion,
it's different,
and then it's taken away from you? I mean, he had it taken away from him, really. I mean, he was at the top of his game. He got leukemia. It almost like you go the other direction. You have to almost remove yourself from it because otherwise you can't deal with the depression of what you've lost. And I don't want to speak for you, Dennis, but I would imagine that something like that is the case, isn't it?
I kind of look at it this. I'm an all or nothing kind of person.
Right.
You know, and then when, you know, you see yourself coming up and trying to break that mark and, you know, getting into, you know, legendary stuff. But once that, it just lost the interest, you know, especially after having leukemia and you know, going through all that. And then, you know, just people talking and asking about the drug situation and all that kind of stuff. I you know, I didn't want to be a part of it. I didn't want to be responsible for that kind of stuff, you know, especially after what I went through.
So you have people contacting you and trying to get some information?
Well, it's just like anytime you know, I was like, I wanted to have friends that, you know, were talking other than bodybuilding, you know. It's like anytime you got around anybody, it's like, oh, hey, what are you taking? What do you do? Do you remember this? And I just got sick of the whole same old conversations, you know.
We just did that 20 minutes ago. Sorry.
Yeah, like me and Chris we hung out and stuff, and we never talked about bodybuilding ever, huh, Chris?
Not really.
Yeah. So I mean, that's where I was. Yeah.
Question for Dave.
Nowadays, it's
you do train like with the weights regularly? Do you still train, lift weights?
Yeah, I just actually had my first workout. I took after I had my heart attack. I was on a bunch of medications that were making me feel like shit, and then I got with a sports doctor, and she straightened me out and got me off all that kind of stuff. And you know, I just started back on you know 250 milligrams of test twice a month. That's it. And she said I should have never got off.
Dave, question for you. Glad you're saying that, Dennis. 250 milligrams twice a month. Is that a good TRT?
You know, I'll give you my history. I was off steroids, everything, and including HRT for 7 years because I had my kids. And, you know, you can't get your wife pregnant when you're on. It's just very hard. So I was on like HCG and HMG and stuff like that. And I stayed on kind of like a maintenance HCG, maybe 1 or 2 shots a week.
How many units are you talking?
I would take like 1,000 units, maybe twice a week or something like that of HCG. Even when we weren't trying to have kids between because I have 3 kids. So we had and we actually had a miscarriage first. So she was pregnant 4 times. So that was over a 7-year period. And then I had an ankle surgery where I had an ankle fusion done because that's the long story. And I wanted to heal it better. And I said, you know what? My testosterone's kind of good. Like my levels were at like 450, 500, which is not bad for a 50-something-year-old guy. But I said, you know what? If I take a little testosterone, it'll help me heal better. So I went on.
What was the number, Dave?
450.
I was about 450, 500 total testosterone, which normal range is 250 to 850.
Yeah, I was like 350.
Well, yeah, most people of that age are in the 200s. So that's low. But I wasn't low. So I'm like, all right, you know, I didn't have a bad section. I felt good, you know. So I said, let me go on a little testosterone. I went on 100 milligrams a week. And I went for blood work, and my levels were at like 1,200. And the doctor's like, how much are you doing? And he's a bodybuilder, this guy. He was my cardiologist. I'm like, I'm only doing 100 milligrams. He's like, you must be like a really, really hyper responder. So he's like, cut it back to like 60. So I went down to 60 milligrams a week, which is what I'm doing now. And my levels went to like 900, believe it or not. Now, I know people that have taken 250 a week, and their levels are just barely 600. So I guess everyone deals with drugs differently. Now, remember also, some people are big aromatizers. So if you take a shot of testosterone and you convert half of it to estrogen and 25% of it to DHT, you go for total testosterone and your testosterone's not even high. And you're like, I don't know what's going on. I'm taking 200 milligrams a week. So you have to kind of manage those other hormone levels too. And Milos asked me about, you know, taking finasteride, which is a DHT blocker earlier. I've been taking that for 20 years, but when I got my DNA tested, and I'm a very, very high converter to DHT. So even if I'm on no drugs, I still have high DHT levels. So I need a DHT blocker in my body because I lose a lot of testosterone to DHT. If I'm on finasteride, which I have been for, like I said, 25 years, when I take a shot of testosterone, I don't convert. I'm a very low estrogen converter. I don't convert it to estrogen, but then it stays as testosterone in my body. So what you have to do is when you go on hormone replacement, and Dennis, you're probably better off taking it weekly than every other week because it doesn't really last that long. You kind of get dips in your blood levels. You should really check your estrogen and your DHT levels too, because if either one of those is really high, you're losing a lot of the testosterone you're taking, and it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Yeah. What do you think about, because we just had Ford on last week, and he's doing microdosing. What do you think about microdosing?
I'm glad you asked me that question because I got a question today. Someone emailed me too about that. And they're like, I don't understand, Dave, why wouldn't you want to take it every single day in small dosages? And that would be great if we only had test suspension, right? That it lasts, 12 to 18 hours in the body. But we have long-acting esters. The reason why they created the long-acting esters is so that you don't have to take it every day. Mm-hmm. So you're better off taking it, if you're doing hormone replacement, I tell people, twice a week if you really want to split it up every 3 days. When I used to take gear, I would run it every other day because I was taking a lot more, obviously. And I felt like my blood levels were much more stable that way. But on hormone replacement, these drugs are meant to last 3 weeks in your system, like enanthate and cypionate. Now, they do have peaks and valleys, and that's why you want to avoid that. So you're not going to take a shot every 3 weeks. These doctors don't know, and that's why they're telling Dennis to take a shot every 2 weeks. He's probably getting a peak after 3 or 4 days of the shot, and then by the second week, he's probably already kind of low. So if you take a shot, like I said, every 3 days, since they peak at 3 or 4 days, you should always be high. So on hormone replacement, I tell people, twice a week, like Monday, Friday, is adequate. These microdosing isn't doing anything. It's just creating unnecessary, neuroticism where you have to, oh shit, did I take my dose today? Who the hell wants to take a shot every day? Yeah. It's a pain in the ass.
I think Dorian was saying the same thing. He's microdosing too.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's not like it's not going to work. It's just unnecessary is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Chris, I remember you said 2 weeks ago when we talked about HRT, you said something like you're not doing TRT. Why? Especially if your test is low.
Because my system, I don't know, because I did a lot of shows then. I did a lot of shows when I wasn't even wanting to do a show. And I think just over the years, I don't know, something happened to my body to where if I'm on steroids past 2 weeks, my body started to change as far as I get really good results. My body started to, all this stuff. But the only thing, and I could never find anyone to help me figure it out, was I started to urinate. And then towards the end of me urinating, I got a shit.
You ever check your prostate?
I did that. Yeah. And I know when I was in competition, when I would take equipoise, my prostate would get really sore for some reason.
You probably convert to DHT at a very high level. So what you should do is, what I tell people to do is start. I have a product called Testalize, which uses a very, very highly refined form of saw palmetto. Saw palmetto blocks testosterone to estrogen conversion. I tell people start with that. Take 3 pills twice a day of the Testalize. I'll send you a bottle, Chris, if you send me your pills. And you know what? If that helps, then you're good. If it doesn't lower your DHT enough, because some people are really high converters, then you might need to use like finasteride. And if you do that, you'll protect your prostate. You'll never have it because you obviously are prone to prostate. And the thing that stimulates the prostate to grow, which makes it hard to pee, is the DHT. So
yeah. So, but do you have, Chris?
Go ahead.
Do you have an enlarged prostate?
Not that I know of.
It probably is sensitive to DHT, high DHT. So when he takes testosterone,
Dave, I had gyno when I was 12 and 13 years old. I had gyno.
That's estrogen. That's from estrogen.
Yeah. Okay, but it's been, and then I didn't get it taken out until I was well into the sport. What's up?
So Chris, but you never went to the doctor and had it looked at and find out what the problem is?
Yes, I tried a few times, and no one can ever figure out what giving stool samples, giving, whatever blood work. No one could get an answer of what I need.
You know what was happening when your prostate starts getting a little enlarged? It depends which way it enlarges. And some people it enlarges into the urethra, so you can't pee. It's like you can't get the pee out of your urinary bladder. In other people, it enlarges the other direction. It compress against your rectum, which is what's making you have to go to the bathroom and feel like you have to poop.
I shouldn't have to every time I pee. Shouldn't have to wipe my butt. Like that's
no. Well, that's what I'm saying. Your prostate. Dennis is saying your prostate's getting enlarged. Is what's happening.
Yeah, because I know I have BPH and a lost prostate, which is very common when you get older. That's what happens, especially in our case. And for me, it doesn't push into the booty; it pushes more into the bladder.
Yeah. Take a DHT blocker, Dennis. You won't have a problem.
You know what I'm doing?
What?
5 milligrams of Cialis a day.
Yeah, that just relaxes the prostate. It's not preventing it from growing. I told John Romano had the same problem. I got him on finasteride, 2.5 milligrams a day. And you know what? He told me, I said, give it a month. After 3 weeks, he called me. He says, I love you. You solved my problem. I have no problems anymore.
They're trying to give me, what's that medication called? Tamsulicine or something? It's kind of. That's the worst thing to take. I'm telling you, because I took that shit in the beginning. Yeah, your bladder relaxes a little bit, and I don't have really problems peeing.
You're not solving the problem. It's your prostate enlarging. You got to shrink it. The only way to shrink it is to go on a DHT blocker.
See, but I never had any problems peeing.
You gotta hit me up after this, Dave. Sure.
Yeah.
We gotta fix Chris. You gotta make sure. Hey,
that's what I do. Everyone calls me.
We gotta make sure Chris gets back up to 600-700. And then he'll probably miss. Awesome. And then he'll probably miss the podcast every week.
We'll be like, "Where's Chris? He's out partying again." Oh no, not again! It was the testosterone
young again.
Yeah, but I'm surprised not more people. Milos, do you ever have any issues with the prostate?
I have. Listen, I'm dead serious. I have zero issues with anything. This is why when I talk on the Jay Cutler podcast, in 30, I used from 87 to now. What is this?
Now it's 223.
Over 30 years, right? No, 33 years of using.
From 87?
1987.
To now?
I had a few stops,
That's a little more than 33 years.
33. 87 is 13 and 23, 36. Yeah. Okay, 36 years. I have zero side effects. You tell me what kind of side effect did I supposed to have? I have my hair.
I'm not even talking about steroids. I'm not talking about steroids. Yeah, I'm not talking about steroid side effects.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with prostate.
Do you get prostate exams? Because most people don't even do it, so they don't know.
I didn't like it. I did a colonoscopy also 2 years ago and stuff like that.
Yeah, I did. I even let him go through my fucking dick with the camera to look in there.
Wow.
Yeah, I did it all. I want to know, That's why next thing I'm getting is that heart scan, because the only thing I didn't do was the heart scan until now.
You got to do that. You got to do it.
Yeah, but that wasn't even that bad.
Milos, have you had a cardiac CT scan?
Yeah, I did. Okay. I did. Now that you say a calcium score, back in the early 90s, Dorian is one of them that did in the same clinic. I
remember exactly.
Yeah.
You told me. It was you, Sean Ray, and a few other people?
Yeah, we did all that back in the early 90s. But as you were talking about aortic dissection, Dave, I didn't want to even say it because people would not believe it. First, I was diagnosed with aortic dissection, right? And that's a pocket of aorta, right? That, it can just burst. And I did after I was diagnosed here in San Diego, yeah. No, Irvine. Then went to Serbia and did it, and they compared. It says like, okay, you have it, but it's not so pronounced. Then came back at UCLA, and I was checked again and said, like, you have nothing. So I showed them this scans from before, and Doc in UCLA says, it's impossible. That's not yours. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So
miracle healing, Milos.
Yeah, but listen, so I didn't want to sound stupid and say these kind of things, but I'll tell you. You remember when I had that ARDS aortic respiratory distress syndrome. When my ex injected my triceps with the SYNTHOL, it went through the heart, and there was congestive heart failure, all this stuff. So already when they came, my vital signs were gone. They were taking me, in the ambulance, and I'm hearing.
They probably already opened the fridge.
But listen, I'm hearing, this. Oh, I don't think he's gonna make it. Like, I'm there, right? Like, what do you mean? then I got there. Right away they came like, "Oh, are you organ donor?" I said, "Hell no, I'm not
taking your organs from you."
Yeah. Then they come and say, "Oh, you're so young, so bad that you're gonna die." Like in my country, even if you're dying, they're gonna lie to you to keep.
They told you it's too bad you're gonna die.
Yeah, I promise you.
But Milos, maybe you were just out of it, and maybe that's what you thought.
I was so aware of everything. I was like, Jesus Christ, look at, I'm dying. So this is how it was. So then my ex brought the priest, priest.
Oh, damn.
And then,
you got your last rites. Holy shit. Maybe you did die. Maybe you died and came back.
Yeah.
That's why you're all healed now.
But anyway, I just do remember how, my father was Dr. of Science of Neuropsychiatry. Once I overheard him, say, but he could not say this publicly because, of course, he's a doctor, so he cannot make these kind of claims, that we have a power of self-healing, psychology over physiology. And if you, I panic, many times panic makes you die. This is the thing.
Right.
It happens, right? Or you have this, like William Bonyac, right? The guy shoot 3 bullets through him, and he is coming after him, like, so,
And 2 days later, he's walking back. He's out the hospital, walking around again.
Yeah, but and anyway, I was just like, okay, now I'm gonna die. So what do you have? Okay, self-heal yourself. So I visualize as much of my physiology, of my lungs, of my heart, and anything else. Get back intact, whatever. Get the fluid out of the lungs, all this shit. Right? So. And I was on a panic mode, on a respiratory machine, and as soon as you take it, it was like a pinhole. You can't even breathe. I mean, absolutely, you cannot inhale, and that's a panic mode.
Yeah.
I mean, when you right. So you hear that beeping is a little bit different sound, right? And I was like, okay, I don't know exactly what number is supposed to be there, but oh.
What number?
I'm okay,
I don't think you have to count the beeps. You just worry about that long beep that never stops.
You don't want to hear a long beep. Yeah.
I called the nurse and I said, I want to go home. And she says, yeah, I'm in intensive care. And I said, come down and put this on. And I called the doctor. And they released me next morning. And he says, I've never seen anything like it, all this stuff. You say, well, whatever, I'm good. Yeah. Okay, so I know that I'm going to be ridiculed for even saying these things, but I do believe. Listen, when you have that placebo, right? I give you the sugar pill, and I convince you that your anxiety is gone, right? My father was not a psychiatrist, so he would have to take to these people and give them something, and he would give them nothing. He wouldn't give them, downer. He would give them nothing, right? And just talk to them all the time. Oh, you saved my life. I didn't give you anything, okay? How about in those Indian tribes, when that, chief is dancing and all of a sudden he healed you, right? Power of belief. Psychology over physiology, there is so much to it. And so when you panic like this, then it's like, oh my God, I'm getting a heart attack. Hey, you have a little heartburn. Take a fucking, anti-acid.
It's not even, for me, it's never even a heartburn or pressure. It's just, I feel my heartbeat in my throat.
No, he's right about that, though. It's like, when I had my heart attack, when I felt it in my jaw, I was like, I already knew it was. And I was calm. And
how did you know that?
Yeah.
I just over the years, people like when they want to take their pulse and because they feel like a stiffness in their arm. But when you feel it in your jaw, that's total sign of heart attack right there. And I knew it, and my wife was freaking out, and I was just calm and, you know, do what you got to do, take me to the hospital, whatever. And he's right. I mean, most people don't know what that feels like. And so they're like, when they probably, you know, get anxiety and freak out, and that's, yeah, it probably gets worse, you know?
Yeah. So, you know, you guys all know Mike Z, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
Mike
well.
Z had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he told me he basically felt, you know, and he laid down and went to sleep.
Oh shit.
That's the worst right there.
Yeah, but and he woke up and he was okay. And then the way, if I remember correctly, his father the next day dragged him, basically took him to the hospital, and then they checked him and said yes. You know, so
Doesn't that do more damage to your heart when you?
I have no idea.
Because there is
I
some
don't.
damage.
He didn't have. I don't think his heart was in oxygen debt for very long. I think it was like the beginning. It was like he had a blockage in there and he didn't know it. So I think he had some. I think he had more angina pain, but he did have a little bit of, you know, his troponin levels I think were high.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what. But you know what? I had told him, and he listens to everything I do. You know, I said, I can't believe you never went and got a cardiac CT scan. I said, you know, I talk about this all the time. He's like, you know what? I asked my dad. He said, you're fine. You don't need one.
and his dad is a doctor, though, right?
His dad's a doctor.
Yeah.
I know. And I guess he just didn't think, you know, Mike's age and everything like that. But you never know. That's why I say, just go get one.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt. It's easy. It takes 10 minutes, you know, just find out, you know?
Yeah. That's my next thing. Chris, we're going to get the heart scan, bro. Let's go.
And I need to get Dave on my.
We're going to do another, get you a good nurse to do another prostate exam to make sure the thing is not sticking out the booty hole.
A nurse or an Asian guy?
I'll get Greg Valentino to give you a prostate exam, right?
Well, at least you have a peace of mind after you get it done.
Do you guys
That's
think
golden right there.
Do you guys think that the athletes now are more cautious and doing more with doctors and getting their self checked since we see so many people dying?
I hope so.
It seems like a lot of people getting blood work a lot.
I hope so, but I don't think so. Yeah.
I don't think so. I agree with Milos.
Yeah, I don't.
I think these guys they just don't want to know.
Yep.
I think the worst thing for them is they go somewhere and have a doctor say, listen, you this and this is high, you shouldn't be doing this and that.
But you know, the thing is though, like I tell a lot of guys, I'm sure you have the same conversation. A lot of you guys coach people, whatever, but you have to do what you're gonna do now. Like you don't really have tomorrow to be thinking I'm gonna be Mr. Olympia in 5 years. I'm not gonna do what I can right now with my physique and do the most I can with my physique.
I think it's also age dependent. Some of these guys are young. They think, I'm still young, you know, because you get away with a lot of shit when you're young.
Anything
can
happen.
That shit can come later. Look, what was this? Joe Aesthetic just died. How old was he? 30?
31, yeah.
29, 30, yeah.
What was the reason now? Do they know what the real reason was?
Probably
aneurysm or something like that?
Yeah, no one really. I don't think there's been an autopsy yet, or at least no one's released the autopsy results. You know.
Huh.
Yeah, but he did.
He had a pain in his neck.
Yes.
I mean, which could have been consistent with some kind of an aneurysm, you know, but or a clot. He did have the vaccine, you know, 4 times, 4 shots he got.
Shit.
So that we
I
know
didn't
that
do the
increases
vaccine.
clots.
Did
What?
you?
No, I would never.
Hell no.
I
told everyone not to do it.
man.
I told them right from the beginning not to do it.
You get a Milos?
I did two vaccines. You know.
But you still got sick though.
Listen, but it's different if you.
How's it a vaccine?
Huh?
Listen, I wasn't
vaccine,
reported.
you're still getting sick.
He's in California. I live in Florida. I don't have to do anything here.
Hey, hold on a second. I got the COVID 4 times, regardless of my 2 vaccines, right? So I don't think I would. They saved me from getting like 6 times, but I didn't want to do it. But I had to travel, and when I was traveling, I absolutely had to have it.
Same here. Same thing.
Scared, you know, but,
I had to get it.
I mean, just today, you know, my countryman Djokovic won again in Wimbledon. He's going to semifinals. You know, he's most winning is.
He didn't get.
But listen, I mean, just imagine, he won 23 Grand Slams, so he's one, and Nadal did 22. So he could have fake vaccine, you know, get the the paper from anybody.
Yeah.
And travel anywhere, win all these millions of dollars and everything. But his character that doesn't believe in it, he doesn't want to do it. And he stick to it. 100% he would won Australian Open.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And he stick to his guns. So I commend him for it. But, I was a sucker.
Oh, that's the one that was denied access to the country.
Yes.
Yeah, I
they
remember
deny
that.
him, yeah. And then he couldn't come to U.S. at all, right? I mean, I had
listen, I regret it? Maybe a little bit, but I had no choice. At that point where I had to go to Germany, had to do my trips, I had to get it done. My parents, I think they got 4 shots. And
Germany is no joke. Germany
Let
is
me
no
tell you
joke
something.
with
If
that
I were
stuff.
you, I would be on, I don't know, you might already do it. I would be on 3 grams of fish oil a day.
I'm taking fish oil, yes.
I would be on at least 400 IUs of vitamin E a day, and I would take a baby aspirin every day for the rest of your life. Because you don't want to clot. I mean, those vaccines make you more prone to clots. And know what? If you
don't you think that it would happen fast?
No, because it's long term. These things are happening long. It's not after the shot.
But then explain this. And how come people that don't get the vaccine but get COVID and they clot after that?
Well, because acutely COVID causes clots. But you got to remember, when you take a vaccine, the vaccine is making your immune system, your cells produce these spike proteins all the time. Now, we don't know how long that lasts. You got 4 shots. I mean,
I didn't get 4 shots. My parents got 4 shots.
It's the spike proteins that cause the clots. So if you're still cranking out spike proteins in your bloodstream, you're still making clots, So you want to make sure your blood doesn't clot very easily. And taking a product like a high potency fish oil, or even a product like I make my Omega Lyse formula with some extra. Well,
Dave is the best at that. Yeah, I hear you.
You know what? I was in the hospital I was in the hospital last week because after I had my heart surgery, I had gotten pneumonia and they didn't give me antibiotics long enough. Long story short, when they tested my clotting time, which is called the PT time, which is prothrombin time, it takes so long for my blood to clot, they couldn't even believe it. They're like, "Are you on blood thinners?" I'm like, "No, I take a really high potency essential fatty acid supplement. I take vitamin E and I take a baby aspirin." They're like, "You'll never clot." I said, "I know, I'm a bleeder. If I don't stop taking all those supplements before surgeries, I bleed to the point where I need transfusion." So the stuff works and it's natural. You don't want to have to take these blood thinners that they sell, these prescription ones. They got a million side effects, So
Didn't you say you're on that, Dennis?
Who?
Yeah.
Dennis.
No, I am. Yeah.
Yeah, because usually when you have a heart attack, they put you on blood thinners.
I have to be on it for life.
Yeah, but you know what? You could probably get yourself off them if you can prove to them that you don't clot, and that's you can do it the natural way if you want.
Yeah. Well, I'm already taking the Q10 and Thornton or Thornhorn or
Hawthornberry. Yeah, Hawthornberry.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, you're the bodybuilding witch doctor. Dave.
Yeah, he is.
No, because you know what? I'm a believer. You could take natural supplements to heal yourself. Now that doesn't mean that I'm against prescription drugs, because I'm on some prescription drugs too. But I believe in this. If you can do it naturally, that's a much safer way with less side effects.
Shit.
All right.
I'll send you. I'll hook you up. Just remind me, Chris, after the show. I'll send you everything you need.
I'm gonna see a video of that snake you sold my son.
Oh, how big is that snake? I sold your son?
Man. I don't fuck with it, but when he gets here,
You got a really nice one for me. A really nice boa constrictor Chris's son got.
I didn't know you sell snakes.
Yeah,
I breed them. Yeah.
So how many snakes do you have in your house now?
About 800.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I have a separate building. The building I'm in now is my work office. The upstairs is my RX Muscle Species offices. Downstairs is all snakes.
So you have 800 snakes in the house.
Yes. In the building. It's not my house.
Any of them snakes ever break loose?
Well, they get out every once in a while, but they can't get out. They're self-contained in the room they're in. They can't get out of that room. So.
Do you do poison snake too, or just
no venomous? No, because I'm very accident prone. I'd be dead for sure.
Hey, Dave, when I went to go do a show with you at your studio back in New York,
right?
And you was like, oh yeah, you just in time for me to feed the snakes and shit. Man,
Well, that's right. You saw my snakes. I forgot about that. That's when I first started. I didn't have a lot back then. Yeah.
Shit. Them fucking mice was screaming ass. I was like, damn, Dave, let's just go.
You got to eat. They got to eat, man. Everything's got to eat, right?
Oh,
Hey, Dave, you want to tell me that no snake bites you at all?
I get bit all the time. Yeah. Because you know what happens when you own snakes and you breed them, you become completely immune to you have no fear of them and you don't take any precautions. So you just reach in and grab them. So every once in a while, they'll nail you. It's no worse than an insulin needle, Milos.
Oh, man.
All right, let me finish this podcast off with one last question for Dave. Dave, when do we see you out at shows again?
I'm going to the Olympia this year. It's I think it's my kids are finally old enough now, and I'm gonna hit the Orlando one.
So this will be the first time since when?
Since before COVID. COVID is when I stopped going traveling. So.
Where's the Olympia at?
In Orlando.
Orlando?
Dennis, will we see you at the Olympia again? Is there a chance?
Yeah. I might come out there and see it. You never know. I don't know. When is it? When is it? September?
No, it's in November 4th this year.
Hey man, I'm glad we dug you up, Dennis.
For real,
know, huh?
for real.
Pulled me out of the coffin.
By the way,
man.
Milos and I are going to be starting a little club. It's going to be called Flatliners. We're going to we're going to kill ourselves, and we're going to see how long we can be dead for, and see if there's any life after death. We're going to try to prove that, Milos and I. If you want to join up with us and volunteer, just reach out to Milos and I.
Okay, when we talk about health and everything, any of you have a high blood pressure?
Yes.
No.
I do. Yeah.
All my life. Family.
I'm actually hypertension. I'm 110 or 100 or even under 100 and then with over 60.
Do you know what? That's me now. My blood pressure is so low right now that I think I'll have to come off because...
Well, you lost weight, Dennis. That's why your blood pressure.
Exactly. Because when I check my blood pressure now, and I check all the time, I check at least twice a day.
Yeah.
I'm talking as low as 96 to 54.
That's low.
To the point where I stand up, I feel like.
What's your heart rate? Dennis?
Depends. It's anywhere. It's usually anywhere between like 68 to 75.
You know what's happening? Your blood pressure is going so low because of the blood pressure medication on that your heart is having to beat faster to keep your blood pressure up. I bet if you go off the blood pressure meds, your heart rate will drop down and your blood pressure will normalize.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So I'm thinking about maybe just cutting it in half for now and see where we're at.
When I had my heart surgery, I've been on blood pressure medication for 20 years, just since probably early 2000s. And you know what? When I had the aorta repair, I can't take any more blood pressure med. All of a sudden, my blood pressure is super low. So I don't know why, but it is.
But how about the fasted glucose? What is your
fasted glucose?
Yeah,
80.
That's good. Chris.
80. That's low. How are you so low?
What do you mean it's low? It's between 60 and 100.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, fastest glucose should be between 60 and 100.
Most people can't keep theirs under 90, Dennis, at that age.
80.
The age you're at, yeah.
80.
I actually take a long-acting insulin because I'm so neurotic about keeping mine under 90. I can't, otherwise it's like 94, 95, 96. I don't want it that high. So I take a long-acting insulin.
I have a 70. The highest I ever was 80, 82, whatever.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect.
I was using insulin for 10 years back in the day.
You saved your pancreas by using all that insulin. Yeah.
That's what I kept saying. I was using when I had this burst of carbs. I didn't want my beta cells to produce it. I use it exogenous.
You saved your pancreas. I told you, the smartest thing people think taking insulin makes you diabetic. It does the opposite. It prevents you from becoming diabetic.
Yeah. How about you, Dennis? You have an issue with diabetes and high blood glucose?
Not diabetes, but blood pressure. Yeah. I have to actually I got to get it checked again because I just came off the blood pressure medicine.
You don't have you don't have a cuff at home?
No, I go to the store.
Oh, that's a must for me. I got to have a cuff at home.
Yeah, what is your blood? What were you taking, Dennis, before that? What medication?
I don't know the name of it. Shit. I should have. I was thinking about bringing that right here. So
Oh.
yeah, but
They probably had you on a beta blocker. I'll bet you that's what was.
Oh,
making you
yeah.
tired. Yeah.
I was on Lipitor and all that stuff.
You don't need that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I got off of it. But I feel a lot better.
Lipitor is for the cholesterol.
Statin. That's a
statin.
statin. Yeah.
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 They put this is how messed up our medical system is. I go to the hospital, I get aorta surgery because I have an enlarged aorta. My coronary arteries are completely clear. I get out of surgery and they're bringing me my meds. You know, this is like 2 or 3 days after surgery, and they're giving me Lipitor. I'm like, why are you giving me Lipitor? She's like, oh, we give everyone Lipitor. I said, I didn't have any clogged arteries. Then why would you give me? Matter of fact, I have low cholesterol.
It's protocol.
They love to give medicines that you don't need. Another thing they give in the hospitals, they give me like an acid blocker, like Pepsid. I'm like, why are you giving me? I don't want this stuff. I said, I don't have any digestion problems. I said, you're going to make my digestion worse by blocking my acid production. Oh, I said, why would they prescribe that for me? She's like, oh, they give it to everyone.
They do that in the hospital.
Unbelievable.
That's why I had to see another doctor because of
when my father passed from COVID symptoms and situation, but he was like on his deathbed and they gave him Lasix. Like, oh, we gave him Lasix. What you give him Lasix for? Like that, I wouldn't give a healthy bodybuilder Lasix. Like, why would you give my father Lasix?
Fluid. I mean, was his
fluid in his lungs.
That's what they use for that, Chris. That's standard. That's pretty standard.
Yeah. Plus, when you sit
one way or another with that shit.
When you're in the bed for a long time and you take all those drugs, man, you get bloated. So they gotta weigh you.
It just freaked me out when she said that shit. I was like, Lasix.
Yeah, but isn't it sad when you can't even trust the doctors anymore or the nurses?
You got to ask questions. I tell everyone, ask questions. Don't just take what they tell you. Ask them why, because you know what? The only person you'll have to blame is yourself, because you're going to be the one who's going to have the problems.
Yeah, but Dave, you also know that the average person can ask a question and they're going to say something, and then the person doesn't know if it's true or not.
True.
I had a doctor.
Not everybody has the knowledge that you have, or Milos or other people that know. Oh, that doesn't make any sense, because somebody else would ask, "Why are we giving me this?" They'll give you some fucking explanation that'll make you take double.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Right. So, anyways, thanks, guys, man. Dave and Dennis, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming on, man. It was awesome.
Guys. It was good seeing you guys.
I really appreciate it. Everybody, be safe. God bless, and stay safe.
Yep.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Guys.
Good to see you, brother.